So data modeling is creating a design or structure for the database tables and entities by analyzing the application requirement. So as you know, MongoDB is a NoSQL database, and it's very flexible. And unlike relational database, you don't need to design the entire database structure before developing your system. However, there are certain ways to create optimized, high performance, and easy to understand database schemas. First things first, you need to understand embedding versus referencing documents. So when you have a relationship between two tables, there are two different ways to create the table. The first one is by embedding the table inside another table. And the second approach is by creating a new document or referencing it using the ID. So here I have a user table as an example. It has contact, and the contact has its own properties. So when you fetch the user, the contact is also returned together with the user. In contrast, the contact can be a separate document and can reference the user ID to indicate to whom it belongs. So how do you decide what to use when designing your databases? In most cases, you would want to use embedding, including the scenario we just saw, because of many reasons. One, it provides better performance for read operations because there are no joint queries to do, and you can update data in a single atomic operation. So when you have a one-to-one relationship, like the user and contact, or you have a one-to-many relationship like blog and comments, use embedding. We use referencing mostly when we have many-to-many relationships, but it could also be used for one-to-many relationships, but not for one-to-one relationships. Let's head to the models directory and open the blog model file. You also need to consider the access pattern and the queries you perform to decide if you should use embedding or referencing. So a blog can have comments and they have a one-to-many relationship because one blog can have many comments. As I explained earlier, if it has a one-to-many relationship, it most likely should be embedded. And the access pattern here is we first show the blog. So that means the blog is the primary table. And then under the blogs, the user might want to see comments. So we can easily embed the comments under the blog and return them together. So embedding the comments makes the read operation very fast since it's together with the blog. It only does one operation. But if the comments were on a separate table, you would have to look for each row to find out what blog it belongs to. So let me create a comment schema. Const comment schema is equal to mongoose schema, and it takes an object. It has a content, which is a type of string. And it's also required, so let's set this to true. Now, let me add the timestamp to add the created at and updated at. So you can see it's nothing different than the other schemas. And let me add the comment schema to the blog schema as an array, since there can be more than one comment. So it's also easy and fast to update. You just need to know the blog ID. On the other hand, the blog is referencing the user, and each user has many blogs. So it's one-to-many relationship. So if you embedded the user instead of referencing, there will be a repetition of data. And if there is a repetition of data, always consider using referencing. I could have added the blogs to the user table, but the primary table we engage the most is the blog table, and the access pattern is we fetch the blogs regardless of what user they belong to. So it wouldn't be good considering the access pattern. So this is what I meant by knowing the access pattern and what kind of queries you do so that you know what kind of method to use. Now, let me head to the blog routes and add a new route to add a new comment. It's no different than the other routes, so I'll just copy and paste. But first, let's create a comment.js file under the routes folder and paste it here. Here, let me remove things that I don't need, like the motor and the blog validation. This should be a comment controller, and here I am going to replace it with the add comment function, but I need to create the add comment controller. So let's head to the controllers and add a comment controller .js file. Let me take the imports from the blog controller. And since the controller is similar to create blog, let's copy and paste this here. And I will rename it to create comment. I am going to remove all this. And I will rename the service import to comment service. Let's now call the comment service dot add comment method and pass the blog ID and the comment from the request body. Perfect. Let's now export it. So let me rename the function name to add comment. I haven't created the comment service yet, so let's do that. Here, let's add comment.service, and let's copy the create blog service from here. And let's rename it to add comment, and it takes the blog ID and comment. Let me copy the blog model import statement from the blog service. Now, let's call the find one and update method to update the blog from the provided blog ID. Then it takes an object with a push argument to add the comment to the blog. And set new to true to get the updated data. So find one and update is used to update only one item. And the first argument is the filter, which is by blog ID. In the second argument, you see the push operator, which adds it to the comment array. The third argument sets new to true, telling it to return the newly updated data. Now, let me assign it to a blog variable. And let's check if the blog exists. So if a blog is not found, it means the user has provided an unexisting blog ID, and I want to respond with an error. Here, let me paste the API error class import, and I also need to import the HTTP status. So let me copy it from the blog service again and paste it here. So as I said, if it is not found, it throws a new API error with message blog not found and HTTP status of not found. Great, now let's return the blog. And I will export the add comment service. I am going to copy the conditional statement and add it to the controller instead. Let's assign this to blog variable and add the if statement here. Let's also take the import statements and I will add an else block. I am going to switch the condition here. And if there's a block, I want to respond with the block. This should be a post method, and the URL also should be /comment. We are good to go now, so let me start the server and test it. So let's send a request to add the comment. It shouldn't return not found. Let's see the issue. Let's remove this import statement. This needs to be exported, so let's open the index file inside the services directory and add the comment service to the exports. I also forgot to export the comment route, so let me do that here. And this route is not added to the Express app, so let's head to express.js file and add the comment router. So let me copy one of these, and I'm going to need to import the comment router. Let me copy this and I will rename it to comment router. There is some error here. I think it couldn't find the add comment function. So let's export the comment controller. Let me first close these files and I will head to the index file. Here, I will copy this and change it to comment controller. Let's now send the request again. The comments array should have returned the newly added comment. Let's see why it's not listing it here. So here it says comments. Let me correct it in the service to have the same name. Perfect. Now you can see in the comments array.